What's going on, everybody? Today is Monday, November 11th. We just had a very unfortunate thing happen. We did the first about 10 minutes of the podcast, and I realized I never pressed record. So
just a practice run.
Yeah. So we're either going to be really polished or it's going to feel awkward because we're just going to be repeating a lot of the same stuff. Let's take it in a different direction off the rip then.
Okay.
But I am going to start with the same point that I felt like Andy likened it to a war that only he's been fighting, but it seems like everyone else has decided to join the war. This is like in World War I where the Archduke gets shot, and then these two countries are like, we're going to fight each other now. And then that was Andy. He's both of those countries. He shot himself.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And I was trying to beat you to where it would be if World War I started because Archduke Franz Ferdinand shot himself.
Yeah,
and then countries went to war.
And then while he was dying, he was trying to figure out who shot him.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and now the rest of the world has decided to join in on this war. It felt
but not for the cause of Andy.
Right. This is we're trying to figure out who's going to be on which side because everyone's pretty aligned getting rid of Sierra. Splitting on Sierra and Sam. They said this is the power duo. And I feel like now the Yellow Tribe is blown apart. We have the Reds are still trying to stick together. The Blues, I think, are probably the most cohesive original tribe, but I think it's really just Sue and Gabe. Caroline sees the value in sticking to it, and Kyle is like, if it helps me, great. But I think he's a free agent for the most part. And so I think there's a lot of these clusters of like 2s and 3s and 4s, and I just think it's very interesting when you have a lot of players that are playing similar games, and they all kind of ID'd this Sam Sierra deal as as the biggest threat. Like I think especially Rachel, Genevieve, and Caroline are all playing similar games to what Sierra was playing, and they all clocked her for it. And I think for whoever goes home first out of the three of them, this is probably a mistake. It'll be a hindsight a mistake, but yeah.
Right, yeah, because I feel like once you start picking off people who are playing that type of game, it's much easier to recognize other people who are playing that type of game.
Yeah.
And when it's you're one of them, and the other people you're aligned with are the other of them, then you're in a little bit of a sticky situation. I was impressed though that they got this many people to execute a split vote pretty flawlessly. Like I would say, I was talking to Alyssa when we were watching this. I was like, I think everyone did the right thing here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody fucked it up.
No, which is surprising.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what you were saying though, this is a thing we were talking about before, and we kind of wanted to focus on the rankings a little more this week, just because everything I think has become super fluid. I think it's a good time to check in with everybody, but. Genevieve and Caroline have been our number 1 and 2, kind of interchangeable, but for about like 4 or 5 weeks now. And I thought that was very funny that they are playing a very similar game to Sierra, and Genevieve was basically saying, yeah, I think Rachel's a huge threat, but also this Sam and Sierra thing is also a big threat, and Sam is the more... Just rip my headphone out. I don't know if anybody saw that one. Yeah. Dude, I got home from work the first time that we started. It was 5 minutes before. Just in time to clog my toilet and then to keep going.
You're just in a blender right now.
I fucking am, dude. But yeah, I thought that was very funny that she was like, all right, Rachel's a huge threat because she's a sneaky kind of threat. Sam Sierra we gotta get because they're a duo, and Sierra is probably the bigger threat because she's also the sneaky kind. And Caroline is like, yeah, Genevieve, who's also a very sneaky player, I, also a sneaky player, think that is a really big deal. We should get rid of Sierra. And I couldn't believe that she was like, Genevieve, that's a great idea. Those two are huge threats. And essentially saying, like, Genevieve, very smart for pointing that out. she never says that Genevieve also is a threat, and she is also the same kind of
Right.
threat.
I thought that's the exact analysis we were gonna get in her confessional, saying, like, that's a great move by Genevieve. Also, I'm coming for her next, or like that's like the same thing that she is that I am. So like she's on my radar now, but she didn't seem to be like gunning for Genevieve for the same reasons that she wanted Sierra or Rachel out. Like it was just okay. This is my ally. We're coming up with this plan together. Completely independent of how we're voting and why we're voting for who we're voting for.
Yeah. Well, I do think this is an interesting. I think the original tribe might have something to do with that because Sam kind of he describes it as essentially yellow versus blue, and he thinks that the yellows and the reds get along really good, and they should get rid of the blues because Gabe is his original target in this episode, which I don't think is a bad idea at all. Or I guess Kyle's the original target, but then he wins immunity again, so then it switches to Gabe. But I think I agree with that generally. So maybe from Caroline's perspective, she's really thinking of the yellows as the targets, and then she's thinking, okay, how can I use Genevieve, Sol, and Teeny to help me?
Right.
And maybe Genevieve getting on this idea of Sierra or Rachel or even Sam. It's I think she's like, okay, this is a wave that I'm willing to ride. So maybe that is what has to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. I think I think everyone does get really focused still. Like we were talking when we were recording before too, that like we're finally past like the point of the merge where like everyone's trying to do, it's like a will they won't they in a rom-com with like the best friend. Like are we gonna stick with our original tribes or are we gonna go off and venture out on our own and try something new? And I think we're finally past that stage. It's always like 2 or 3 votes like right around the merge, after the merge, where everyone's trying to figure out what they want to do, and we finally whittled it down to where everybody's in pairs or trios, and it's just which pairs and trios are going to pair up with which other pairs and trios, and that's going to decide, which direction the vote goes, is, what the collective amount of duos and trios decide. It's not just like a majority and a minority. But I do think that, as much as you try to shed those tribal lines, like, I think they're all out there on the island thinking, it's 4 versus 4 versus 3. Even if that's not how the alliances are set up, and they know that the alliances, not everybody's like strong to their original tribe. I don't really think many people are, to be honest, but like it's hard not to be out there and think like it is 4v3. So like what is the point? Like the 4s are going to obviously look at each other as more natural adversaries than to gang up on the 3s, just because both of them don't. They want to maintain their original numbers, even if that's not really where their alliances are at. Like I think that's like natural to view it like strategy like that.
I think it's a good starting point for or a building block to go off of.
Exactly.
Each week.
Yeah, and it's like individual to every, like Caroline is much more of like one of the people who probably wants to keep tribal lines more steady, less blurred, and just pull the Lavos in with them, rather than just like a free for all, which like probably now most of the yellows want. Andy wants that. Rachel probably wants that. Like I would say Caroline's probably more of like, let's keep what we got and just pull a couple extra people in.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I think that's a good point where, those bigger groups are always gonna look at each other and they're gonna say, okay, like if I can villainize but if I can make the other big group the main target, then you could maybe at least buy yourself a week or two of safety. I do also think that as the original tribes get smaller, nobody's really like, okay, I was originally, like, I don't think Teeny's thinking, okay, I was originally red, so I got to go to the end with Genevieve and Sol. Like, I don't think that's the logic that everybody uses anymore, obviously. But I do think it's a fair assumption to think that, okay, there's a very small amount of people from like this tribe. They, in order to survive, they've had to work with each other to some extent. I would say, like, I think Red is the most fractured. The way they entered the merge was the most fractured compared to the others, because it was essentially Rome kind of flopping back and forth, and like Aisha and Kishan, where it was kind of three duos, and they were not the same duo, right? So there was really just Genevieve and Rome was the surviving one, and then so it was almost like three individuals from originally three duos, but now I think it's the classic thing where other groups they didn't vote enough people out of their original tribe, and so they didn't get to really solidify things as much as maybe they wanted to. But I think it's a fair assumption to say, like, Kyle, Caroline, Gabe, Sue, right? Through talking with the Blues, you probably know that Kyle was on the outside of that, but Caroline, Gabe, and Sue have voted together every week, and yeah, maybe they don't have a final two together necessarily, but I think it's a fair assumption that they'll continue to work together.
Yeah, I would agree, and I agree with that from us in an omniscient perspective, but I would also agree with that logic. You can see that from a player perspective as well, like with what you just said, where we got to the merge, all the Blues voted together. Why would they not be aligned? You know,
right.
Like, why would you assume they wouldn't be aligned? There's no reason to think that. Maybe sans Kyle, if you had some conversations with him, but. At least
then they all went to a tribal council together, and Rachel got to get up and leave, and they all freaked the fuck out.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think it was an interesting. We're looping back a little bit here, but I think it was interesting that Genevieve, like, called out Rachel as being like one of the bigger threats on the island. I didn't necessarily like agree with that.
I
That
think
read.
There's always one or two of these a season where I think one or two in each direction where the people on the island think X is a much bigger threat than we're actually shown them to be. And then I think it goes the other way where there's always people that for some reason no one clocks as being threats, and at home we're like, oh my god, how do you not see, Marianne or somebody like that, right?
Right.
So I think that exists. I think with Rachel, it's the potential of it, where I do think in a vacuum Rachel's a pretty solid player, and I think that it's just people have described her as like being very charismatic, and I think that from the social side she is a natural, and I think what people are, it's the classic thing where people are like, oh, like that person's a big threat, and everyone kind of piles on and they go almost unanimously, and it's like, they're such a big threat, why'd everyone vote them out? But I think it's the idea that the longer the game goes, the more individual it becomes. Like, we're talking about now all the tribal stuff kind of breaking down, and Rachel's somebody that she's been dying for that, right? We've been saying for a while now that she, like, even going back to essentially when Annika was voted out, ever since then she's kind of been hanging on by a thread, and the very best thing for her is for everybody to get blended up and to just be like completely on a solo mission. And then when there's not numbers against her, then she can work. And so I feel like people are afraid of what Rachel might be able to do if she continues to survive. And so I think, which I kind of agree with. I think that Rachel is one of, I would say, I think she's one of the best three players left in a vacuum. I would say her, Genevieve, and Caroline, I think, are the three best players left in the game right now.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That's the thing though. Like, in a vacuum, yeah, I feel like she's like isolated. Like, I feel like we haven't seen we've seen her fail twice to make an all women's alliance, and she hasn't really done much strategically other than that. She played her shot in the dark, which we can get into, but I don't think that was a bad play. But like, other than that, like, has she made any solid bonds? I do agree with you. In a vacuum, I think she can, if it's broken up, she can maneuver and move, and that's what people are scared of. But, like, at some point, like, when we're talking about strategy in the game, like, the game is what it is, and it's not what it's not. Like, that was like Tomlinism, but...
he had a great one about the Ravens upcoming this week, and I can't remember.
Like
I think
they
he
were
said
hot. They're hot, and
and
we're
we
the
want to be the
firemen.
firemen or something.
But like to double down on the Tomlinism, the game is what it is, and it's not what it's not. Like if you think she's a big threat, then she's a big threat. If you don't think she's a big threat, then she's not a big threat because you are giving her the agency to do that. Like, that's not the same for every player and every strategy, but I think for Rachel that is the case. Like, if you want to keep her on an island and say she's not a threat, she's just on an island, whatever. Like, she doesn't have agency. I think that is. You don't want to be paralyzed by fear, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I do definitely agree with what you're saying, and I think you put it pretty solidly. I think the fear for them is, the physical game. Yeah, what is it? If you're good at challenges, you're a physical threat. If you're not good at challenges, you're not a physical threat. And the only line you can that can be blurred there is, do you have a fucking ripped guy who's in great shape that sucks at the challenges?
Yeah.
Like, just isn't good at survivor challenges. And I think the strategic is the same way. Like, it's just kind of mental capacity and how creative you can get. Like, I think it's pretty evident, right? But the social game is the one thing that's kind of blurred where I think a lot of people like Rachel. I think a lot of the girls like Rachel. And I think that a lot of the girls are the people who have power in the game, right? And are deciding if Rachel gets to stay or go. And I think that where kind of the line that we're trying to identify right now is, the line they're trying to identify and we're trying to understand where they're drawing it is, do people just like her? And like, I think the fear is people like Rachel. Okay, she's a likable loser, right? A lovable loser even.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's on the bottom, but people are fine with keeping her around because she's likable. Or are these social bonds not just friendships? Is she actually gaining agency kind of quietly, and then all of a sudden one day she's going to decide she wants to make a move, and she has all these friends around that she's built these bonds with, and they now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but they carry weight. You didn't realize that they carried weight, but now they do, and all of a sudden Rachel's will is imposed on the game.
Right. And I think Rachel might also have like a little bit of this like Illuminati effect going on right now. You have no idea where I'm going with this.
Usually I have an idea.
Yeah, I know. The look on your face, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? She has this like a little bit of like an Illuminati effect where like she has this like silent protector that plucked her out of from despair,
It's Saul.
Exactly, yeah.
She's a Saul secret agent, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna become a thing this episode.
I know. Where like this silent hand like plucks her from like certain despair, and everyone then thinks like it's a little bit of like Deus Ex Machina, where like God comes in and saves the day, and like it doesn't make any sense plotline wise, but it still happened. So like everyone's like, that's only one person saving her because everybody knows how the advantage works, but like it gives the feel of like Rachel is part of this like majority that this Illuminati,
right.
this majority
how the hell
that
do
like
you get Rachel?
Yeah, the secret majority that like. Yeah, how do we get her out if she's just going to be plucked from danger every time we try to get her out? I think
that's a good point.
That has like a little bit of like a psychological effect on people probably as well.
Even though she didn't get votes tonight, if the shot in the dark hit, I think that actually greatly increases her threat level of people being like, "What the fuck is this fucking cat with 9 lives ass shit that's going on here?"
Yeah,
I did want to talk about that because this has been a thing online that I've seen. People saying that she played the shot in the dark to gauge if she needed to play the idol, which
I saw this take.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw. Can't remember if it was Stephen Fishback or I can't remember, but because I think he suggested it. I think he was like, "Did she just do essentially what I just said?"
Mm-hmm.
I think he said like she confirmed that it was not, but then I didn't really look into it further. So I might be wrong. I might be right. I might be wrong.
I disagree, but because I have a different take. I agree with what you're saying, that she didn't do that. Like, she wasn't gauging to see if she needed to play an idol. But that, not because I don't think she was doing that, but because I think she played the shot in the dark for a different reason, because I have a different take.
I'd like to hear it.
All right. I think is she in on this vote? I feel like she had to have known, right?
I think she did know.
Okay. That's good. This progresses the take. She knows that they're splitting on Sam and Sierra. She knows that ultimately her vote doesn't really matter in this instance. I think she plays the shot in the dark, expecting to lose her vote. Loses her vote
so that she doesn't have to vote for one.
So that she doesn't have to vote for either Sam or Sierra, and she can save those relationships and say, like, I was just as blindsided as you. I think she was anticipating maybe Sam going home, or because she was closer to Sierra, but like she could then save face with Sierra and say, I didn't know this was going on. I thought I was on the chopping block. I played my shot in the dark. Like, we're still cool. Like, we need to figure out what's going on. But in reality, she did know what was happening, and I think it was a very, like, cheeky play with the shot in the dark trying to lose her vote because she knew she was safe.
Yeah. So I think I agree in general. The more I'm thinking about it, I don't know if she 100% knew. Oh, man, I wish she would have. I mean, we're going to get it in the first, 2 minutes of next week's episode.
So, yeah, I'm going to be instantly confirmed or denied here.
Right. So it's all speculation. But I think that the shot in the dark is an interesting thing because you never really want to lose your vote, right? It literally only comes into play when you're totally fucked. Right? And it doesn't matter if you vote. This is one where, it didn't really matter if she voted, and if you're kind of scared, you might as well burn it, because there's never really a good time to use your shot in the dark. So from that perspective, I don't hate it. And I'm a little confused by when I said that I thought that Steven said that that's not what she was going for with making sure she didn't have to play the idol. But I think that if she played the shot in the dark and she was genuinely scared of going home, wouldn't she have played the idol that she just got? Right.
Why would she play the shot in the dark, not the idol?
I think it's a good idea to play the shot in the dark first. Yeah. Because then it's not a guarantee and you still have the idol.
I think kind of what I'm getting at is maybe football. Everybody's always looking for the next wrinkle in the game. The next thing, the design downfield lateral, if you will. Yeah. From rugby. I think the shot in the dark has yet to be manipulated for a strategic purpose. And that's kind of what I was thinking about this week is I feel like you can. And what I was getting at with that's kind of what backed my theory behind what Rachel was doing was we haven't seen anyone try to do something like that before. Where to play the shot in the dark because you're safe, but you're saving social and strategic face with the people who are going home. I think there is an alleyway there to potentially manipulate some things that people don't do.
I do agree with that. I think the one issue could be it makes it seem like you maybe didn't trust those people you're supposed to be with. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, is anybody really going to blame you for getting a little paranoid on Survivor? It's not like she got paranoid and blew the whole boat up. She was just I might use the shot in the dark.
Yeah, I feel like if you use it in the right situation, it's easy to explain away. You can say to the people who you were supposed to vote with, you say, look, we had the numbers with me or without me. I was a little paranoid. That's on me. I don't have another shot in the dark, so I can't do that again. And it didn't, I knew, I knew it didn't really matter in that scenario. And, I knew that if I was wrong, if I had the wrong read on the situation, and it was actually me tonight, I'm making the right play for myself. It's nothing against you guys, but I knew that we were solid numbers wise with or without me, and I got spooked and played it my bad. Yeah, I feel like that's no harm, no foul, especially if the vote goes the right way. Then it's really
you can genuinely promise that it'll never happen again.
Yeah, you can.
You don't have it. A couple other things I want to talk about from the episode. I guess staying on Rachel. Sol does tell Rachel that he found the advantage. I guess I kind of want to save this one for the rankings because I think this is an interesting thing for Sol. we had, like you mentioned, Rachel. She found the clue for the idol in her French fries at the auction, and then she has to cut the idol out of the tarp. She just says "fuck it," and there's like 4 people in the shelter, and she just does it, which is the balls on this woman.
That's what I was saying. I said this to Alyssa too. I was like, this is a hard idol to get out. Like, it's trickier than you like realize. I feel like, because like you gotta not only like sneak back there without people like being like, "What are you doing?" And like you also have to rip the tarp. Like you're like, let me take.
She was
sawing.
sawing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like cut the tarp with the knife or with the machete. Like it's not. You have to sneak back there with the machete and not get caught. Because like, what is the exit strat there if you get caught? Like, why are you cutting the tarp open?
And the bamboo was rattling around too. I can't believe no one was like.
I know. So I was shocked she did it. I mean, her logic was sound as to why she was doing it when she was doing it. Because, like, if everyone's in the shelter, nobody's outside the shelter, so they can't see it.
That was one that I think, I think one of Wentworth's idols was hidden like this, but I think there was maybe 1 or 2 other instances of like this where the idol's underneath the shelter. As long as you can fit your hands through, I don't think that one's nearly as bad as this. Because you can just lay there and like, kind of survey and be like, okay, there it is.
Right.
And just wait for a time to kind of just be like slip your hand in. I think like maybe the worst one was Rick Devon's one, where I think it was like hidden in a tree like directly above the fire.
yeah.
And it's like, when the fuck?
I kind of liked when they used to go to like the other tribe to get to do stuff. That was kind of fun.
The Vince, what was that guy's Vince? What?
I don't know.
He was.
Was there somebody rolling around or something like going?
Well, yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Where I think he does like the inchworm to like get over there. Or there's like, I think Sarah does this in Winners at War, right? And Tony like rubs dirt. They do like blackface to. So she blends in.
Camo.
But yeah, I don't mind stuff like this. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the auction, well, first off, Andy couldn't find a single tube. I loved the confessional where he says like, my eyes work, like I can see, and as he says it, it cuts to him walking directly, like his arm almost touches it, and it's sitting right on top of a rock. Like, okay, this is the free one everyone gets, and he still just fucking missed it.
It was like I saw some comparisons online that Bruce was it Bruce? He was actively not looking for, or actively didn't look and still got more money than Andy actively trying.
Yeah, Bruce, he was like, I'm not going to run, I'm just going to walk. That was his thing, right? He was just going to walk around.
Yeah.
He still found more than Andy.
Yeah. I will say, I think the auction is broken. I don't know if you have the same take as this, but...
So, well, here, since you already have said your take, I'll say mine. I don't mind. There's a lot of stuff I'm curious about in Survivor. The auction is something that if they want to just get fucking wacky with it, I don't care that much. I think where you're going with it though is the losing your vote thing.
Yes.
It is so stupid that you can just be completely locked out of bidding. Like Sam, he was actively trying to lose money, and he could not lose money. He just kept getting outbid.
This is exactly where I'm going with this. Where it's like an exploit. Like there's no, or whatever the opposite of an exploit would be. You're like locked in. Like once Jeff tells them that, and once Jeff says, okay, from here on out, this could be the last item. Like from there on, it's completely up to the Survivor producers who loses their vote. Because then it just goes in reverse order of who has the most money. Because nobody wants to lose their vote, so they just all start bidding all of their money, and everyone in the middle is just completely locked out of winning anything because everyone above them doesn't want to lose their vote. So I think I'm completely on your side of do whatever you want with the auction. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I think the auction's great. I think it's one of my favorite parts of like things that they do on Survivor. But like this part is broken. Like I don't know.
I have two ways to fix this.
Go ahead. I don't have any ways to fix it, but
one is nobody loses their vote for any money purposes like this.
Mm-hmm.
Have one of the covered items be you lose your vote.
That's good.
That feels like a Survivor thing. Something that I don't picture that they would ever do, but would also solve this is you are allowed to throw all of your money in the trash at any point.
That's good too.
So if you have the second most and it's item like 11 and you're like, well, it's about to fucking end any time, then you can just say like before. So Jeff, before he says whether there's another item or not, he says, okay, whoever wants, you could throw all your money out right now.
Yeah.
Or you could throw away a certain amount of money. Like you want to go down the totem pole a little bit.
Oh, and like fuck somebody else?
Yeah. So if you have like $80 and someone has 60.
I think the issue with that is then you get into who's making the decision first, because you can theoretically fuck somebody else there.
Yeah.
So like then
you should be able to go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah. Until
Bring
you
people down to $1.
Yeah. Until you're both just at like 0, and then it's like, all right, you're both at 0.
I think that may be a little too chaotic for what they're looking for. With like logistically, that's like, okay, someone gets up and throws their money in the fire, then you got to go back, and then somebody else is making the decision. Okay, how much money do I want to? Like, it's very logistical at that point. So I don't think that makes for great TV. But I think your first idea is probably the best way to fix it.
I remember the old school days of the auction where you got to pocket any money that you didn't spend on food.
That'd be cool.
I forget who did it, but I think somebody was like, I'm just gonna, this is like old, he was like, instead of $100 on like a Coke, how about I just save, like use it for $100 worth of stuff when I'm at home.
It's like, I'm not gonna fucking win anyway.
Right. The other thing, I had also I like I thought it was an interesting wrinkle that I actually didn't mind, where they had to, because I don't think that they like to do the gross food challenge anymore. It is a classic that I wish they would do all the time. But I did like where it was like, okay, you can bid on the opportunity to eat grubs in order to get this big breakfast thing. The only thing is, if you offered up your money to eat the grubs, you should have lost your money.
Yeah.
I think Sue and Sierra and whoever else...
They take their money back.
Yeah.
I think that was because they take their money back because then whoever has the most money loses their vote. Like, it's not an easy way to get rid of money.
That's true.
If you got rid of the other thing with the lose your vote for the money, then I think he would have just taken it in that scenario, because it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's actually you want them to spend their money. You don't want them to have it because you're giving stuff away, basically.
Yeah.
But I just kind of like the auction for being the auction. Like, just give them like there doesn't need to be a penalty. Like, you just auction stuff off. And like, I do like that. Like, there may be an advantage in one of the items instead of auctioning off an advantage, because like that got broken too. Wherever nobody bid on anything because they were all just waiting for the advantage.
I think that's the way to do it too.
Yeah.
The one thing I think the way you maximize the advantage is you do a scroll and fries, but you got to get it inside a French fry. You got to like bore out a French fry and put it in there. So then you like bite into it, and then in front of everybody, like, what is this? And then it's, oh my god, Rachel has an advantage.
Like a little deep fried beer State Fair trick.
Yeah, right.
Like how do they get the liquid inside the fryer?
The one last thing I want to talk about with the auction, I really like Kyle as a guy, and I'm not like against vegans. I'm a big person of like, you could do whatever the fuck you want, like whatever.
Yeah.
But no principles on that guy.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, like if you're a vegan for moral purposes and not like dietary purposes, then like, what are we talking about here? Like, why are we taking the chicken wings? You know, like,
right.
But if it's for like dietary purposes, I understand eating the chicken wings in that scenario. You know.
Yeah.
But
again,
like,
I don't
fuck
really.
Fuck the moral. You know, I've been playing this whole game for my family. Always talking about family. Like my kids are gonna watch me at like on TV. fuck the morals, like out the window.
Winning for my kids, by the way, kids, it doesn't matter. And
It doesn't
by
matter
any
what you
means
stand
necessary.
for.
You can eat a fucking chicken.
Everybody turns into savages, like King of the Flies out here. Lord of the Flies,
Lord
not
of
King of the Flies. King of the Flies.
Not the king. That would
Lord-
be crazy.
Like Lord of the Flies out here. As soon as everybody gets on an island, everybody abandons their moral principles.
Yeah. All right. Last thing before we do some rankings here. Immunity challenge. Kyle, third straight.
Mm-hmm.
They also, it was one man, one woman, because it was a
Body weight.
thing.
Is Survivor sexist? Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, if you're doing it based on body weight and not by a raw number, why does it have to be guys versus girls?
I think it's just like more of like a general like. That's what I'm saying. Like I think
Survivor
there's
Survivor is taking a political stance here, saying that there is a biological difference between holding up 25% of your body weight.
right.
If you're a
Like
man
that's
or
what I'm
a
saying.
woman.
All other things equal, they're like we still need to have separate categories. Like even though it's
Right.
percentage based.
I have to look this up. Maybe if I can get you going on a rant at some point, I'm gonna
Okay.
look this up and see if it's real. I saw someone online say that Sue is the oldest person to ever win individual immunity.
Well, she's like 40, right? Isn't that what she tells everybody?
I didn't know that no one in their 50s or more has ever won. No, what is she, like 65?
I don't know what her
I
actual
thought
age
Bob
is.
was kind of that old when he won the
She's
game.
59.
59. I thought Bob was in his 60s when he...
What was?
I guess he was a teacher, so he wasn't retired. Bob
Fucking-
won like 4 individual immunities in
What was
the bone.
I'm looking for. Hold on.
Here we go. Vamp.
Yeah. What's that? There's like an old a black guy from Louisiana, like in the late 30s. We always Carl Boudreaux. Did he make the merge? Did I think of old people?
I think you're... Before you said black, I thought you were trying to think of Keith Nail. He was a... I think R.I.P. I think he's dead.
What season did Carl Boudreaux play in?
David versus Goliath. He was a David.
Did he make the merge? I feel like he was
Yes.
older than Sue. Did he win an individual immunity?
I don't think he was older than Sue.
I
think-
he's 41.
I was gonna say I think he gives off a vibe of being older than Sue, but I don't think.
I don't know why I thought he was old.
Yeah, remember he made the merge because then he became the Godfather. Gabby called him the Godfather,
Yeah.
and then
Wow,
Angelina
he
was
made
trying
it.
to like rub elbows with him at the challenge.
He made it 5 votes into the merge. That's crazy.
Yeah, don't you remember that?
No, well, I didn't remember he made it that far.
He was an icon, bro.
I thought he was like second or third out. out for the merge.
Here's my crazy Survivor trivia. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he came in 9th place, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9.
There you go.
I had to
My
count.
king.
Why did it say what place? What on Survivor Wiki? It doesn't say what place they came in. It's 10th voted out and 5th jury member, but it doesn't tell you what place they came in.
Yeah, I think
Whatever.
that. If I remember correctly, they unanimously voted out Alec, and then the Davids all of a sudden had a 5-4 advantage, and then he was like, "We're the fucking kings." And then I think Christian and Nick voted him out, and Gabby.
I'm
I
trying to
think
think.
everybody voted him
I
out.
don't know if there was anybody. Who were you saying was potentially the oldest?
Bob
guys?
Crowley, Gabon,
Oh, jeez.
the winner of Gabon.
Yeah, there's like
I think he's the oldest to win the game.
people in like their 50s or older. Like I feel like generally don't make the merge.
Well, now we know how you'd play the game.
Well, like I'm just
No,
saying
you are
from,
right.
from a statistics perspective, not that
There was
nobody
there was a-
over 50 would make the merge in my season. We're sending them sending them back to
There
where
was,
they came from.
there was a time that if you were the oldest person or the lightest woman on your tribe, you were just gone first.
Immediately.
um,
I'm just randomly clicking on seasons, trying to see who.
no, I think Bob is the one. So if Bob is younger than her,
Sorry, I was not going to Gabon.
Yeah. We'll go to Gabon.
I'm getting there.
All right, I'll start setting up.
Bob is
start setting
57.
up rankings.
57.
Oh, so close. All right. So yeah, I guess that's true. Edgar Sue. Oh, also, Gabler feels like he would be, but he's also not that old.
Gabler's like 40, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into rankings. We're going to start with our number 10. It is Sam. Sam, in the preview for next time, looks like he's going on a very interesting trajectory here, where he's like, you know, not dating Sierra or anything, but he also he's out for vengeance next week. So that's a pretty extreme response for someone that you are not dating.
Right. Yeah.
But no, he's obviously his game got turned upside down, so he's on the prowl for something new. But I just feel like he is so clearly a threat on like the physical side, but also he's shown the ability to be a smart player, right? Even if he got outfoxed here, it's the classic thing where he's just doomed, where people know that he's a good player, so he's targeted, but he's not actually that good of a player to where he can actually do anything about it. So I think he might just be F'd in A.
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth on Sam. Like, does this make him less of a target, potentially? Just because, like, he just might be just fucked?
I do think it does. I don't think he's next. I think if he does nothing, he still probably isn't next.
If he does something, he might be, though.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Is I think he might play himself into 10th place. And he gets to go hang out with Sierra more.
That's true. Yeah, they get to not be dating, not kiss, not do whatever at Ponderosa. Who knows? It's not filmed. We would never know.
Yeah, for this specific reason.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam, I think that... Unfortunately, I think the path for him to win is a path that would get him voted out. So it's all, like, contradictory.
Yeah, he's getting to the point where he needs to just not do anything, and then...
But if he doesn't do anything, he doesn't win.
Right, well, right when he steps it up around, like, the final 7 or 6... then he also needs to win every single immunity.
Right, yeah. I think the path is very hard at that point.
Yeah. All right, number 9. I think this is a person in a similar situation. This is Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Gabe, he's in the same position as Sam, but, like, none of the stuff is happening. Like, he didn't get split up from Sue. I think that might be the tightest two in the entire game. Also, by the way, not for nothing, is Gabe and Sue.
Yeah, yeah.
That being said, that doesn't put you on anybody's radar the same way as being in the one dating relationship on the island goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Gabe is just a guy that everyone the entire season has been like, Gabe, we're not letting that guy get to the end, right? He's trying way too hard. He's definitely pretty smart. He's obviously a physical threat. It's just the classic, like, he might not be the best at anything, but he's obvious enough about what he's good at that no one's actually going to let him get close to the end.
Right. I mean, at this point, like, his name was thrown out there already. Like, it's just going to be like, and from what we're seeing this season, you know, I don't think, like, having Sue protect him, or, like, Sue's obviously going to want to, like, be competitive about his name being out there. Like, I don't think that, even if she's, like, on the side of where the vote's going to go, like, I don't know if in the way this season's set up, like, she can do much to really save him. Like we were saying, everybody's in, like, duos or trios. Like, if she doesn't want him to go, I don't think there's much she can really do. It's not like they're in a group of, like, 6 where, like, she can just, like, they can have a conversation and be like, all right, we just, like, don't want it to be Gabe. We want it to be this other person for whatever reason. You know, like, I don't think she has much wiggle room to kind of maneuver him out of it, or, like, Caroline by extension, you know, is kind of what I'm getting at. But I think he's in a tough spot. Just, yeah, he's very similar to Sam, where, like, people know he has some ability. His name's already been thrown out there. The Blues are looked at as more of a unit than anyone else. A lot of people like working with Caroline, so it comes down to probably like the other three are all pretty decent targets. I think Caroline can do a better job of keeping Sue out of people's mouths than Sue can of Gabe.
Yeah.
So they can't protect all of them at some point. So
Right. And speaking of number 8, they actually had a tie for number 7, but I think the less interesting person in the tie is Sue, I believe. I feel like she's kind of faded in the edit. I don't think she's really on the screen that much. I do think like she's not in a bad position by any means. I just don't think that she can elevate herself. Like nothing's really changed, right? She made an alliance with Gabe, she made an alliance with Caroline, and they're just all three still in the game. And I think I think she has hard and fast principles that she lives by in the game, and I don't think that there's a winner in there.
yeah, I would agree. I think, to be honest, I think that a lot of the time, if Caroline's part of the decision or the plan that's going on, like, she can just say, like, oh, like, we have the numbers because we have Sue, and then no one wants to get rid of Sue because she's a vote for Caroline. And if Caroline's driving, then they're not going to get rid of Sue because they need her vote.
Yeah,
but I don't think she's really like a winner threat. I think she's. I don't know if she makes the merge though, either, or makes the finale either.
I don't. Well, maybe. I did find so. I've started keeping track of everything this season better, and one interesting thing I just stumbled upon was the confessional count.
Mm-hmm.
Sue is, in terms of people left in the game, she's right in the middle, actually, which I would not have expected.
That I probably would have pegged her for like right in the middle to middle lower end of people left. Just for basically the reason I said, I don't think she's like she hasn't had a spike probably because she's probably not going home like immediately, and she hasn't had a spike because she's not going to win.
Yeah. Guess who was the fewest?
Guess who's the fewest? Kyle.
He's second. Caroline. That's interesting.
It's crazy I have such an opinion about her that if we never see her.
And third lowest is Genevieve, actually.
That makes sense. She's a little... I feel like she has been steadily increasing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she didn't have much, like, pre-merge at all,
Yeah,
to
she
be
went...
honest.
First 3 episodes, she had 3 total professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's gone 6-4, 3-4 in consecutive weeks.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Rome, he's the new Vanu this year.
Who's going to out
he has
confessional
the second most confessionals still.
We never shut up.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I think this is one of the more interesting people to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
This is I guess I had him at number 6 because you had him at 10, Kyle. So I think Kyle. It's pretty obvious that everyone is doing the we got to get rid of this guy because he's won immunities, and I do agree with the sentiment that there's 10 people left. I think by the final 7 he'll be gone, but I just don't know. I think right now there are people that might want to use him. Like, I think that it's just the perfect kind of snow, like, fake plan is if Kyle loses, then he's going to be desperate. He'll vote for anybody but himself, right? Because everyone's going to want to be on Kyle. There's going to be someone who says, okay, now's the time I can make my move because everyone's so focused on Kyle. And I think it'll be not someone from the Blues. I think it'll be a great opportunity to snipe Gabe, probably. And that's probably where I see next week going, is I think Kyle will lose immunity, and someone will use it as an opportunity to use him as a decoy and then further one of their own plans.
I think that Kyle will lose immunity, and I think he's going to go home next, to be honest. I just think that people look at it as like two birds, where we get Kyle out, so he not only is he not going to win out on immunities, also now we have an opportunity to win immunity. Because I feel like that's not talked about as much, really. It's like, it's all focused on, like, we need to get this guy out because he's going to make it to the end if he just keeps winning immunities. And it's not as much like, we need to get this guy out so, like, maybe I could win immunity.
Right. Yeah, Sam. I think Sam likes Kyle and he wants to like work with him. It's like, dude, you got to get rid of this guy because you really need to win immunity.
Like, I don't know if I've ever really heard that take on Survivor. Like, I want to win an immunity, so we need to get this guy. We need to get this guy out of here.
Yeah, I think I've heard that on Big Brother for sure. Where that's like a big reason why like people go for the back doors on certain people. Like one, because they can't compete in the vetoes, but then also it's like, yeah, like this guy's won 4 competitions in the first 3 weeks, and it's like, how the fuck am I going to do anything if this guy I don't like has all the power all the time?
Right. And I think secondly, like we said, Blue is still looked at as a unit, so like they can say, okay, like we get this guy out so he's not winning immunities anymore, but also we can take someone out on the blue. Like we do both at the same time. Like what is the benefit of getting Gabe out if we could just get Kyle out and not have him win immunity every week?
Yeah. I still am a big proponent of, like, if I was in the game right now and people were like, we got to get rid of Kyle because what if we never get the chance to? Like, let him. Like, if he has no social anything in the game, like, yeah, I get that he's a likable guy, but if he has, like, no leg to stand on socially, not socially, strategically, like, if he just has nowhere to go, but he just keeps winning immunities, like, are you, if a dude wins 6 immunities, are you, like, Brad Culpepper won 5 immunities, and he got destroyed in this strategic game, and I guess it was kind of, I think it was like 7-3, like, that's about the peak, I think. Like, I know Mike won with 5 immunities on an immunity run where he would have been voted out anytime that he didn't have immunity, but he was such an unlikable final 3 and season in general that I feel like it's an outlier. Like, I would very much be in the camp of, 1, this guy's not going to win like 7 immunities in a row. That would just be my opinion.
Yeah.
There would have to be something eventually where it just isn't his thing. But also, if it's not the time to get rid of this guy, I'm not going to throw away whatever plans I have cooking to just be like, well, we got to get rid of Kyle because he didn't win immunity today.
I mean, you can also just flip my argument on me and just say, like, well, if Kyle goes home, then someone could win immunity who we don't want to win immunity.
Right. Yeah, at least you've controlled the immunities now.
Right, exactly. Like, that is the good thing about Kyle winning it every week. It's like, you know he's not going to do anything with it. So, like, at least, like, you can do your plan.
Right. Like, whatever happened to, like, the, like, smaller women are good. Like, hey, Genevieve and Caroline, I feel like Rachel is someone who could win immunities.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, and honestly, Sierra feels built in a lab to win Survivor immunities.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was
I think Alyssa said that when we were watching. She was like, why does Sierra not win just every immunity?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Good question.
She does seem like she'd be very good. All right. This is where it gets interesting because you had this next person at 5. I had them at 7. They ended up at 6. But so it's Teeny. I think that there's a hard line. If you're saying Teeny is 6th, I know that doesn't agree with your rankings, but I think if you're saying Teeny is 6th, I think there's a hard line where everyone above, like the top 5, I think they could all win. And I think the bottom 5, none of them can win.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think Teeny, I kind of said it earlier, where she's the queen of, I need this to happen for, like, this is the best thing for my game. Oh, I can't swing it. I guess I'll just, like, vote with the majority. Like, she is the queen of concessions, I would say. Is she just, she'll always voice her opinion, but she is such a pushover, and I think it's going to, like, I would love to sit next to Teeny at the end, because she can definitely talk, and she, I think, definitely has the confidence in herself to beat people that have played the game better than her, but if you're facing a jury, like what has she actually done? Like I don't think there's anything that she can hang her hat on. She's just gone with the flow.
Yeah, I would agree. She is the line this year for sure. I think we battered around a bunch of people being the line, and I don't ever know if we landed on her, but we are now. We're sticking our foot in the ground and drawing the teeny line. I was too busy trying to make a joke about what the queen of concessions would be.
I think it's really just somebody who runs a Little League concession stand like the Navy.
I was trying to come up with, like, is the hot dog the queen of the concessions? I couldn't come up with anything great, but I don't have really an analysis further than what you said, to be honest. I just think she's going to go as far as anyone wants to take her, and she's not going to. She may drive a vote, and that may be what gets her sent home, or I feel like we may come to a head where she's just like, I need to do something in this game for my resume, and then she just gets voted out.
Yeah, I think that she. I feel like all of her confessionals are like we're seeing her view the game from all of these different angles, but she's not like she doesn't do anything. She's just kind of there. She's like a
philosopher.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do anything, but they're like, yes, astute observation. What is it? What does it mean to be? And everyone's like, yes. What does it mean to be? And then they're like, all right, we got to go to work tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I think Teeny, like, she always has her head wrapped around, like, what's going on, but then in terms of, like, and then... like, or yes, and she has nothing to say ever.
Yeah, so. You're like, all right, what are we gonna do about it? And then it's
she's like, well, I don't know. I just told you.
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna tell me what to do now? Aren't you gonna tell me who to vote for?
Yeah, right.
All right, our number 4. So this is our 1 and 2s were crisscrossed, and then we had unanimous 3, unanimous 4. So unanimous number 4 is Soul, and I don't know that he can necessarily win, but I think he is a person who definitely has a plan. Like, he's said that he's I mean, he was a target coming into the merge with Rome, right? And I think he's said that he's made a conscious effort to seem less threatening, and I feel like he's been planting, or like not a serious person, and I feel like he's been planting the seeds for, like we saw with Rachel, like he tells Rachel about giving her the advantage. Rachel's someone who really needs an ally. Like, I could see them working together. We kind of saw him, like, when Andy was really upset about Sam and Sierra just using him, right? Soul was a person that he went to. And I feel like Soul kind of has built connections with some of the power players. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm very confident about what I think will happen with Andy. But I think that between Caroline, Genevieve, Soul, and Rachel, I think they're going to use each other, and at some point 3 of them will decide that the 4th has to go. And then they'll keep using each other, and then 2 of them will decide that the 3rd has to go. And, like, where does he fall in that pendulum? I do think he actually could have the juice to win the game, but I wouldn't bet on it. But I do think it's possible.
Soul was the pre-merge Teeny. Like, he was the philosopher of the pre-merge. Big, like, I see the game from all these angles.
Yes.
But I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything about it.
But he's become the first person to use to
use
have
philosophy.
Real world application for their philosophy degree. He's not just a professor of philosophy.
Yeah, because Teeny is, when do we want it? Next vote. Sol is, when do we want it now? And like, I agree with you. Like, I've liked Sol from the beginning, to be honest. Like, I've always been fairly high on him, and I maintain the opinion of, like, he just needs to get to the merge. He just needs to get to the merge, and, like, he did, and now he's playing pretty well. Like, he did. Well, I think I was of the opinion, actually, he needs to get rid of Rome. He needs to get rid of Rome.
Yeah.
And he did, and Rome's gone. And I think playing, I think saving Rachel was his best move. Like,
Mhm.
it really propelled him forward in the game and, like, put him in a position to make solid bonds, to really get in a good position. And
she's a shield now, too.
She is. I would agree that it is those four that you had named, and I would be willing to bet that he is not the first one that they want out internally.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it would be Rachel.
Yeah, although I really like Rachel, I do think I don't think she goes next. I think it's like someone in the Gabe-ish like area.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could even see another like random vote, and then I could see Rachel around like 8, Saul around like 6, and then I think like Caroline and Genevieve kind of battle it out at the end.
That's
and
big.
Probably
like,
sit next to Andy.
One takes, like whoever takes the other one out wins the game. You know, the last boss type. Yeah.
Yeah.
Type vibes.
Yeah, so speaking of a person I just mentioned, number 3 is Andy. So Andy, I think, for me, I've said all along, like, is Andy good? Like, at first he looked really bad, and then we started asking that question because he seems to make, like, the correct moves based on just a belief in himself, and it's like, it sounds like a weird thing, because obviously, like, everyone's, like, has their own convictions and like believes in themselves, but he is real. Like all of his confessionals are along the lines of like, maybe I can like be this person who like yeah, I'm on the bottom now, but I can just like, and he says what he like does, and
yeah,
it's like it has to be inspirational, but it works.
He's like go off queen, manifest it, you know?
Yeah, he is.
He is that, like, that girl, like that TikTok. He's like a girl, like, lifestyle, like, TikToker.
Yeah.
I need to manifest, like, a good day today. And then he does.
Right, yeah, he does. He has a better day than he had yesterday.
Yeah, right.
And, like, the mean girls are putting him down at school, and he just flipped the script on them.
Right,
all the cool kids are sitting at his lunch table.
Regina George gets hit by a bus. Like.
Right. Yeah. He did kind of just hit his island sister with a bus.
I know.
But yeah, I think that for me, what I've decided on with Andy is I think that he is the heart and soul of the season. And I think that he is like the emotional story that they want you to follow all the way to the end. And I don't think he wins.
Yeah.
I think he does have the ability. He's in a position where if he made the correct moves, he could win the game. But in my opinion, I think I'm pretty confident he's going to come in second. And I think that I think it's going to be. I just watched. I've been getting Olivia to watch Lost recently, so we've been rewatching it. We just watched the season 2 premiere, which is called Man of Science, Man of Faith, and I think that that's what the end is going to be. Is Andy is the man of faith of like it's never been pretty, but there's just this belief in himself, and it's like propelled him, and it's going to be the emotional story. And I think whoever he sits again will be the man, or I'm pretty sure woman, of science, who has calculated everything out and has got there through math and numbers and strategizing and obviously the social undertones that go along with that, but or not undertones, the social like foundation that goes along with that. But yeah, I think that it's a losing argument in today's Survivor. I think that people are much more willing to vote for someone who screwed them over in the last like 5 years.
Right.
So I think his peak might be second, but if you told me for sure that Caroline, Genevieve, Rachel, and Saul all get voted out before the final 3, then I would put my money on Andy to win the game. I just don't think all 4 of them get voted out.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with basically all of that. I think that Andy is like the figurehead of the season. Unfortunately, just like who the producers want to win doesn't always win. You know, it's like you can feel that the edit is rooting for him, essentially.
Yeah.
and it's more along the lines of like, I get the feeling like if Andy wins, like it's like a script Hollywood wouldn't buy.
Yeah. They'd smack you in the face and kick your ass out of town.
Yeah, right.
If you brought them a script like this, because it's not real.
I think that honestly, like, the edit plays up both sides of Andy to make him more of an extreme character than he probably really is out there. Both, like, elevating his faith in himself and also, like, elevating, like, how much the other players don't believe in him as a player. I think both of those things are elevated to make him this figurehead of the season, to ultimately, like, have this showdown in Final Tribal. And in a season, if you ask me in, like, the 20s or the teens, like, would Andy win the game? I'd probably say if he sits up there with somebody they don't like, he would. 50-50. If there's somebody up there who the jury doesn't like, Andy could very well win the game. I would not say that in the past 5 years.
Yeah. Even like 20 seasons probably.
Yeah,
like,
maybe even 10 years. Yeah. 5 to 10 years, yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but this is my last thing on Andy.
All right.
Well, two last things. First, I have heard that the producers, Reddit says the producers don't like the season, whatever the fuck that means. But I do think it could mean that Andy doesn't win.
Right.
So, reading the tea leaves a little there. My other thing, I don't know if this is going to make any sense. I feel like Andy is not capable of introspection. I think he strictly views himself from a third-person point of view. Like, he doesn't refer to himself in the third person, but I feel like instead of, like, an introspective monologue about, like, what am I going to do, I feel like he, like, observes himself.
He's like, what would this person do in this situation? And it's him.
It doesn't make... I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes any sense, but I feel it.
It's interesting. It's interesting because, like, I could see an argument for that, but there is, like, a difference between, like, being introspective in a sense of, like, your decision making and being, like, emotionally aware. I feel like there is a little bit of a gray area, though. Like, between, like, you're saying, like, he's, like, basing his actions on his emotions, and he can emotionally be introspective, but he can't, like, decision-wise logically be introspective. So, like, there might be, like, a little bit of an overlap there where, like, what would this person do in this situation? This person being myself, you know? Like,
but I think he can out loud say that I'm being emotional and I'm going through, like, whatever, and it's driving my decision-making.
Right.
But then he doesn't actually, like, all right, observation over, let's get back to emotionally making decisions.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He is,
like, all right,
like...
here we go.
He's just one of those players that, like, you're like, I have absolutely no faith in this person. I would not want to be aligned with them if I was out there. But they keep making the right decisions for whatever reason. It could be the smallest insignificant reason, but they just make the right call. And, like...
He is so idiot savant. It's not even funny.
so bad. Like, it was Rome, but I mean, it was always Andy. But, like, we would say that about Rome as well. Yeah. But it is really Andy now. And just to, like, take a gut check on the season, like, I like this season, to be honest.
I like this season. I really like this cast, actually.
Like, I don't really know why the producers wouldn't be happy with it, but I guess we'll find out maybe.
I do think it is. They aren't satisfied with it. Usually when rumors like that go around, that's what it is. So maybe Caroline does win. That's why she doesn't get any confessionals.
It's me. I'm the producer.
Yeah. Yeah, if you open that door, it's the Wizard of Oz. Fucking, he was behind the curtain.
Do not look at the man behind the curtain. I have all the levers.
I haven't watched Wizard of Oz in a very long time. Does he actually say that?
I don't know. It's like it'd be like a Mandela effect thing.
Right, where it's like I feel like enough. Is it just a lot of people have made that joke of this is like a
I'm
thing
pretty
that-
sure he does say it.
That's
I can,
crazy.
That's
so stupid.
Well, I don't know if he says that like
foiled and he just-
he doesn't say that verbatim, I don't think. Like they like do pull the curtain back and he's standing there and I can picture like the knob, like it's like a bunch of knobs. It looks like an airplane controller, like essentially.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of like knobs and stuff and they pull the curtain back and like he like says like into the microphone, like when the thing talks, I think. Like I don't think he says "Don't look at the man behind the curtain," but he says something like, "I'm the
Someone's in
all-powerful."
here.
No, he says something like "I'm the all-powerful Oz. This man is just like whatever." Like I don't know, like something like that.
that his lips are moving.
Yeah. I have to look it up because I haven't seen it in so long. But there is like
my
that
God.
interaction there. But like I think he's still trying to convince them.
I love when old stupid movies, or when old movies are stupid.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's keep going. Our last two. I don't know who to talk about first. I guess let's. I feel like we talk more Caroline, so let's talk Genevieve first. You compared her to Parv, like in her mannerisms, not necessarily her gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I compared her to Kim a little bit. I do. She did something in the auction. I can't remember what it was, but she gives me such Spradlin vibes. I can't really place it. And she's not as good of a player. Nobody fucking is. In my opinion, nobody. But I do get the vibes of her of like, it's almost like she is definitely trying really hard and she's like making a lot of good decisions, but I get this feeling of like it's too easy, kind of, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
and that said, I've said all along that I kind of feel like Caroline's going to win the game,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just she has this way about her, and I can't. I'm really struggling to put into words.
I have a word for it. I don't know if it's gonna
Right.
jerk. I would call her gameplay graceful.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 It's like she's floating.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think she plays with. It's like there's a Seinfeld episode where Elaine is told she has grace.
Yeah.
Me, Grace. Genevieve plays with such grace, and I feel like poise as well as another word. Like and I think that may be why like Caroline doesn't recognize her to be the same threat as Rachel, is because it's so effortless, it's so graceful that like Genevieve can't be like playing
She's
the same
doing it
game
all on a
Rachel's.
whim.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like she's not being sneaky. Like look at her. You know, like we're
Right. She's
like,
just
very,
Genevieveing around.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like I get that vibe very much. It's like the game is easy because she's just floating through it essentially, and not floating aimlessly. Like everything she touches is like she can do effortlessly essentially, and like it is like if it wasn't Caroline, because I do think Caroline's a good player. I think obviously Caroline and Genevieve are the two best players remaining, I should say. Like she kind of like puts this spell on everyone where like even if like she is making like an obviously good move, everyone is like, yeah, that's a great move. Let's do what Genevieve wants. That's like a great idea. Like she couldn't possibly be a threat. She just had all these great ideas that have aligned with my game. You know, like I would never look at her like, yeah. I think that's like I get the same vibe. And as you were describing it, I thought of that adjective.
Yeah. No, I think that's perfect. And she has. There's also this thing of like, it's no big deal almost with her. Like that's a thing about. I think that's the way that she reminded me of Kim whenever she's talking about something. Like she could be talking about her game getting totally fucked over, and she's like, this is what like. That's not how she would say it. Though. I don't have the Genevieve in me, but me neither. She would just be like, yeah, this thing is happening. So we're gonna try this, and I'm probably screwed. Whatever. Like but like she's almost like conceding, but she's not because she fucking cares, and she like and then she just gets out of it too. Is the other thing, which she hasn't really been like balls to the wall. Like I think of when Kim voted out Jay, and I think the guys kind of started to turn on her, and she was even maybe gonna have to whip out the idol, or she was gonna at least have to draw some lines in the sand, and you know, relinquish some of her options and really pick a side. She just flipped everything on its head and then voted out like the most likable person. And it's like, what the fuck just happened? That's Kim. Like, I think she's got it.
I feel like she. One more thing on Genevieve.
Sure.
I feel like she, whatever quality you want to call this, is some like I would say that would probably be my personal biggest downfall on Survivor. Is like, I feel like when I'm talking about something or when I'm like explaining a situation to someone, like I'm doing it with like conviction, like the same way I'm talking to you right now. Like I feel like when I deliver something, I'm delivering it like because it has an air of importance, not what I'm saying, but the way I'm saying it like has like the way I'm delivering. Like I feel like that would get me on people's radars early, just the way I'm like going like describing the situation, like. Maybe like too much, like playing too hard, even though I'm not. I'm just like assessing like what I think, but it's like the way you deliver it, and like she is very good at like delivering information and plans without putting any target on herself.
It speaks for itself. She does not like, this is such a great plan, and I've thought about it so much that I know this is a great plan.
Right.
Needs, like you're right. There is nothing to that. I do think that about you, where when the way that you say stuff, I just assume that it's right.
That's right, yeah.
Because I'm like,
Alyssa tells me that
guy knows what he's talking about.
Like, I'm not like, talking myself up here, but like I've gotten that like from more than just like you or Alyssa. Like people at work tell me that too. Like just like the way I deliver information is very like matter of factly, and it does rub people the wrong way sometimes, especially if they think I'm wrong. Which like, we get along because like among other reasons like we agree like a lot, and like I feel like it does annoy people if they don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying, and that would be an issue.
Yeah, I agree. All right, last one, Caroline, the Countess. I haven't called her the Countess in a while.
Yeah, she is.
It's almost Genevieve feels like she could be like an angel. She's like the angel on the shoulder, and Caroline that would be the perfect Survivor player. Someone who has Angel Genevieve on one shoulder, and then Caroline with like one of those black like vampire hoods.
Yeah. Well, I always think of like there's collars. Like a clap of thunder and lightning and the bats scatter.
And then she walks into the scene and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? The princess has arrived. But yeah, I think that the one thing that she has over Genevieve is I think she's integrated herself. Like I think the social game occurs between the lines of the yellow and the red tribe, and Caroline has blended with it. Kyle's blended with it. I feel like they all have targeted Gabe, and I think Sue has not really intermingled. But Caroline is the one with that lifeline to the blues, and I think that might. I don't know how it's going to come in handy. I think there's going to be one instance throughout this entire season where we're going to say, thank God Caroline had Sue. And I don't know when the fuck it's going to happen, but I think Gabe gets cut soon, and Sue down the road, it's almost like Erica's Heather, where it's like, wow, it's, couldn't do it herself, but like she had a sidekick.
But who can?
Right, yeah, who really can? But yeah, I think that her and Genevieve are really similar social standing with everyone besides the blues. But then I think it's getting to the blues of like everyone like still pretty much just wants Kyle out. Like nobody really probably wants to sit next to him. Gabe is whatever, but like she has those lines. She has the chain link that no one else has.
Could it be Sue? Sue may play her idol on Caroline.
I totally forgot she has an idol. I think it could be an instance where Caroline feeds Sue the information to make a great move with the idol.
Yeah.
Maybe she gets saved with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
I would agree. I think Caroline and Sue are tied together in the edit, like, too closely for, like, Caroline to just jump ship and continue to play, like, a social game with the other tribes if they want to vote Sue out or if something happens. Like, I feel like they're linked, like, together in a way that is meaningful.
Well, I think it enables her to play a certain style that behooves her, because I actually think if she's by herself, and you're like, all right, what do we think of Caroline here? I think she comes off as obviously pretty smart. I think it's on the surface, and I don't think she really hides it. But I think what's helped her is the fact that she can inject like one or two ideas a voting cycle, and then she just slinks back to like, I'm just over here with the blues.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the blues. She's with the blue factors. But But yeah, I think if she had to really, if she was really standing on her own, and she was having to get a little more aggressive, I think it becomes pretty obvious that she's a really good player, and she becomes a target. But yeah, I think this fact of like the stuff with Tiana, where she steers Tiana back towards voting for Rachel, she's good for that, like one conversation like that, but then she knows not to try to control the entire vote. She's just like, well, this person's pretty pivotal, let me just get this idea in their brain, and then I'll just walk away. And I think she's been able to do that because all of the rest of the Blues have been a shield for her. Like, if Kyle and Gabe are not in the game, it's weird because she's not that close with them, but if they're not in the game, she's in a lot worse position, I think.
She is, she's a farmer. She's the seed planter, you know? Like, an agriculturalist.
She's happy about this daylight savings, I'll tell you that much.
Well, it ended. Not gonna be happy till the spring. She's, this, like, agriculturalist. She's planting seeds in everybody's heads, you know, about, like, maybe we should go this way, maybe we should go that way. And the vote doesn't always go this way or that way, but that seed's still there after the vote happens, and it puts things in motion, and she is in your ear about it, and people trust her.
Corn. I was going to say something about corn. You're still going to have corn at the end of it. That's what I was going to say. And I was like, whoa, ear. This really is meant to be.
You give it the proper amount of nourishment. You keep it in the sun. You keep watering it, and it does grow into a vote out or multiple vote outs. And I feel like that is the game she is. She is like the countess of like these
of the field
of the people she's trying to vote out here in Rachel and Sierra. Like, she is that game. I am him. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I am him.
This is like verbal meme. It's Countess Farmer.
A moisture farmer, if you will.
Yeah, Countess Farmer, handshake, someone who would carry a sickle. That's her.
Countess Farmer. What's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi's actor name? What's his real name?
When he's old or young. I don't know why I automatically thought of the old. Fuck, why can't I... Oh my god, this is terrible. What the fuck is his name?
I don't know.
I know his name.
But he is... Because he's not actually a moisture farmer. I think he is acting as a moisture farmer on Tatooine there. But... I know him because I am him. That's Caroline.
Ewan McGregor is the young one. Kenobi.
Right.
But I can't think of the old one.
I'll pull it up.
But yeah, so that's it for rankings. We do have to give out one
Chung Chung
done chain. It's me again. Just one thing on Sierra being the one to go out. So I keep track of the rankings by week, and then I have an average ranking for everyone. So it's essentially just the average of what we've ranked them all year. Guess who has the best average ranking all year?
Guess who has the best
season
average ranking all year? Genevieve.
No, it
Andy.
was Sierra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Andy was last for a while.
Yeah, it's Sierra 3.3. Sam actually still 3.4, despite he was 1-1-1-3-2-9-7. But yeah, Sierra, she drafted fourth, then third, fourth, second, third, sixth, third last week, and now she's gone.
I don't think I said this on this. I said this before we were recording. I was surprised she went this week. I thought it was going to be Sam the whole way.
Yeah. Genevieve is third. 3.7.
Alec Guinness is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There you go. Yeah, then it's kind of a wide gap, and then Caroline is fourth, it looks like. So,
Do you have a way you want to go with this done chain?
Yeah, so just to set the scene. So we both have two. You have Gabe and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I have Andy and Sue. Yeah, just looking at it, I think on my team, I think Kyle's a decent choice because I do think he's going to go soon. And it would be somebody that I am giving a dungeon for.
Mm-hmm.
I think my thought is I already have Sue Dunchained. And I think the three people that I don't have Dunchained that I'm the most confident will not win the game are Kyle, Gabe, and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my logic here is to do one of Gabe and Sam because I don't think Kyle is the third to go out of those three. I don't know what order they'll go in, but I don't think he's the last alive of those guys. So my thought is I Dunchain either Sam or Gabe. One of them goes home, and then when Kyle goes, I can get the one who's still in.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with that is, like, if I Dunchain Gabe and then Sam's the one who goes, and then Kyle goes, then what do I do?
Right.
Which kind of hints that I should just do Kyle. You know what? I guess I will do Kyle. I think I'm less confident. I think I'm the least confident in Gabe. I think if it was in a vacuum, I would do Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
But based on how it works with how we give Dunchains, I think Kyle probably makes the most sense for me. So I'm going to go with Kyle.
That's who I would have done. Obviously, I have Sam and Gabe Dunchained already, so
Yeah.
I would have given it to Kyle. But I think that's a good choice. I did say I think he's going to go next, so that would have been my pick, even if I didn't have him Dunchained. So
Yeah, I think I kind of think Gabe is next, but yeah.
you
Also,
don't miss Kyle.
yeah. Also, Fantasy Survivor update. Haven't done it. I got all caught up. So I didn't get to do this week's yet because I've been pretty busy. But I'm actually probably going to update it right after this.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't go right from work to doing this, I probably would have updated it before this. But you were at 1,377. I have 1,141. So you are up by about 230 right now.
Close.
Yeah, so I'll get some negative for Sierra. I think it'll be. I'll get Kyle's immunity. You'll get Rachel's idol find. So yeah, there'll be. I think it'll be a relatively even week. You'll probably You'll probably build a slight lead here, but there's bonuses to be had for winning at the end. And I think we said that we thought I had more winner equity. I don't think you're totally dead. Like, I think Sol and Rachel are pretty solid.
Right.
I think Tini's going deep.
Yeah, by that I meant I think you have the winner on your team.
Yeah.
Like, overall, like, percentage-wise, it's probably closer, but, like, I would bet that you had the winner.
Yeah. Yeah, having Genevieve and Caroline.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. All right, well...
It's sick.
Yeah, it is fucking sick. All right, well, yeah, despite not actually recording the first 10 minutes and having to start over, I think that was a really good episode. So thanks, everybody, for sticking around, and we will see you all next time.